Hi, welcome to the Story of Now. My name is Jessica Leep Fick, and I'm one of the creators of the Story of Now. I'm the Evangelism Resources Director for Stonecroft Ministries, and I'm so excited that you guys could be here tonight or today, wherever you're joining us from, to be able to learn how to share about Jesus naturally in your life, to talk about what he's doing in a way that really connects with people and is real. I've invited my friends Doris and Rachel to share with me about their story of now and how Jesus is working in their lives. So we're just going to walk through some of these slides, and you can take notes as you're going along. And we'll actually have these slides available for you to be able to see and to download and to go over at your own convenience. Story of Now is meant to be a snapshot of what God's doing in your life. Rather than a testimony that might be like a full-length feature film, this is meant to just show people little snippets of how God's showing up in your life in everyday ways. When you're commuting to work, when you're talking to a friend, when you're doing your laundry, Jesus is present in all of these things. And we hope that this helps you to see the places that he's been at work and also have the confidence and ability to share those with others who find themselves in similar places. There's three sections to the Story of Now. The first is reflect, the second is connect, and the third is invite. We'll spend the most time on reflect because connect and invite really are meant to be done with people in real life and to be done with people who are far from God or that you're interacting with on a day-to-day basis. So let's start with reflect. Jesus, as I mentioned, is working in our lives every single day. And so we want to pause and be thoughtful about how we answer people when they ask us the question, how are you doing? We get asked that all day, every day. And usually, what do we say? We say something like, I'm really tired, or I'm stressed, or I'm busy, or I'm excited because I have something fun to do this weekend. So we want to take this from this question from the surface level and just a short answer to a more thoughtful level that can open up conversations with people about how they're doing and show them just a snapshot of how Jesus is working in their lives. So I'm going to invite Doris and Rachel to share with me now. And you can see on your screen it says, I am blank because blank. So I want you to think about a situation in your life that you're excited about or you have a challenge or struggle with, and then explain why. Why are you feeling this way? And on the right of the screen, you can see a word bank of some words that you might use. And this is just some ideas to get you started. It doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be good. It just has to be honest and describe how you're actually feeling right now. So Doris and Rachel, how are you doing? Tell me your I am blank because blank.
Well, Jessica, this is Doris, and I would think that I should be feeling excited because I'm getting ready for a trip to go to Mexico on Tuesday, but I'm not. I'm actually feeling pretty anxious about it. And anyways, I'm short on time, and it's just right around the corner. So right now I'm kind of anxious.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes even in really exciting things, we can have that mixture of emotions. And we're complex people that God created us to be. So a lot of times we don't just feel one thing at one time. Yeah. How about you, Rachel?
Hey, Jessica. I would say that I am excited because I'm going camping this weekend in the Sierras.
Wow. You guys both have cool trips coming up. I do not. I would be feeling excited as well if I had a trip. But this last week, I've just been feeling really alone and lonely. My husband has a really intense work schedule this time of year, and I'm just feeling alone because he is gone a lot. And we don't have any family in the area, and we haven't made a lot of close friends. And so it's been hard. It's been hard to feel alone. Yeah, so there's the kind of a picture of what each of us are going through right now. And sometimes it can feel tempting to minimize the struggles in your life, especially when you feel like, wow, there's really painful things happening in the world around me. Who am I to complain about a trip to Mexico, or even having a husband that can help me out with my kids? But each of us is going through something, and it doesn't matter how big or small the struggle is, because it's yours and they're your feelings and it's real. So we're going to keep moving along through reflecting. And I want us to think about where we're experiencing Jesus in the midst of these good things, these exciting things, these struggles, because we want to actually be able to identify how he's present in our lives. Just like I would be able to say, if I was to introduce you to Rachel and Doris, I would say something like, this is my friend Rachel. I really appreciate that she's a creative innovator who's always thinking about how to connect with people. I experience her as a real creative. This is my friend Doris. She is compassionate. She's always willing to stop and ask me how I'm doing. And I see her doing that with lots of other people. So just like you would introduce a friend to somebody and help them to have insight into who they are, we want to do the exact same thing with Jesus, because he is all of these things and he is real. And this helps us to see in our own lives, wow, this is how Jesus is present. This is how he's present in these situations. And it helps people to understand as well that he's just not this historical figure in the Bible or this ethereal thing drifting around, but he's real in our lives. So I'd love to hear from you, Rachel and Doris. How are you experiencing Jesus right now in the midst of your excitement, your struggles, your challenges?
Yeah, thanks, Jessica. This is Rachel. I would say that I'm excited to go camping, but one of the struggles about that is I wish I didn't have to get away in order to feel restful or at peace. I feel like I love being outside and I really connect with that, but wish I could incorporate some of those positive experiences in my everyday. But a way that I do experience it still is I feel like Jesus is a peace giver to me, giving me moments of peace, even in really odd situations or situations that don't look pretty and full of nature, or I might be inside a room all day and I still somehow get moments of peace with Jesus.
That's great. Yeah, I experienced this recently, just with this feeling alone and lonely, that another mom at my kids' school initiated with me. And I just saw Jesus showing up as just very gracious, of showing me like there are people around you that like you for who you are, that want to connect with you, that want to support you. And it just was a reminder that he's the one who gives good gifts. He's the one who provides relationships just when we need them. So how about you, Doris?
Well, going down to Mexico next week, there's a travel warning for a tropical storm. And then there's also a travel warning for it's a dangerous place that we're going to. And so just with what we've experienced recently down in Houston, the Lord has really reminded me that I don't go alone, that his presence is with me and that he'll also provide, no matter what the circumstances are, that he will be there and he will be my provider. And so, that's just really kind of given me some peace to know that, that I'm not going to be alone, and whatever struggle happens, he'll be there.
Yeah, that's great. That's really powerful. Yeah, the more that we can share these things and make it real in real situations to our lives, the more people are able to see what life with Jesus actually looks like. What does it look like in the day-to-day grind of things? And Doris, you shared a little bit about how Jesus is being real in your struggle, just by giving you peace to know that he goes with you. Rachel, how about you? Because I think a lot of people can resonate with, man, like I work a 9 to 5 grind. I don't live in a beautiful place, or I'm not where I'd want to be. I'd like to be in the redwoods and in the cool breezes or in the mountains. So how has Jesus showed up in your story of just the frustration of feeling like I wish I could have more peace in my day-to-day life?
Yeah, it is a real struggle. I mean, even living in beautiful places can be a struggle when you're busy and just working a 9 to 5, like you're saying, or whatever the situation might be. But I did have a situation just camp recently. I was taking a road trip through Oregon, and I, for some reason, had to go to a B&B one of the nights, and it was the ugliest, most rundown, sketchiest B&B I've ever been to. And I'm alone. I'm alone, and I'm going to this thing. And it was so interesting because it was my first night, and so I was trying to, get into vacation mode, trying to find some peace and some rest, and I ended up in this situation where I'm in the ugliest bed and room, and like, yeah, it's bad. But in the midst of that, even though I was surrounded by ugliness, there was still little moments where I felt like Jesus was giving to me in order to still give me what I needed.
Yeah.
And to me, that was, there was a little fireplace. And so I built a little fire and sat there and prayed, and I felt like God's peace came over me.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect that. I thought, I'd have to be in the most beautiful place in order to feel a connection, but it didn't matter. So I think that's what God's teaching me, is His presence still meeting me with what I need in all that.
Yeah, that's great. You little gifts of beauty even in the midst of the ugliness, that you can find it anywhere when he's with you. That's great. I love hearing that. Yeah, for me, it was, as I mentioned, connecting with another mom, just realizing Jesus is there and he's present and he's gracious and sees the needs in my life for friendship with others. So we're moving now from reflect and reflecting on our own lives, where we've seen Jesus at work, how we've experienced his presence, and then the real actual places where he showed up. And we're going to move into connect now. So in your minds, I want you to shift from thinking about yourself to real people in your life, men and women who don't know Jesus, and the simple everyday ways you're connecting with them. I think one of the powerful things women have is just being able to connect with each other and find places of empathy to support one another. So this is really kind of where your story and her story connect, whether you're in the line at Starbucks or, in the break room at work, wherever you are. So think about that woman in your life. I want you to think about the ways that you're relating to her, and maybe some stories that have come up recently. So we're going to continue on in the presentation. Think about a situation where a friend has shared with you that she's just in a rough place, that she's struggling in relationships or in her work, or just personally dealing with, her own self-image. One of the most powerful things we can do to connect with others is just to be present to them and to listen to them. Recently, one of my friends had her home flooded, and she's got 2 young kids and is now struggling with cleaning out a house filled with waterlogged stuff that's now getting moldy and disgusting. And sometimes one of the things we can do is just let people share, and that asking them, how are you dealing with those things? What's helped? So as you listen to your friend, it's really helpful not to give advice or to compare your struggles and say, oh gosh, yeah, we had a fire in our home a few years ago. Simple things like not looking at your phone, just being able to connect with her eye to eye and asking questions and empathizing and saying, wow, I'm so sorry. That sounds really difficult. That's really painful. Can help people feel like you are actually showing them the love of Jesus in those situations. So as you're connecting with them, it can be something very simple that you're able to do. And I know, Doris, you had an experience like this the other day. So could you just share about how you connected with a friend when she was sharing some struggles with you?
Yes, as I was just thinking about, that anxiety that I am feeling right now. Just last night, a friend called me up, and she expressed herself in the same way. She was really struggling with some decisions that she and her husband had to make, and some family struggles, and she just wanted someone to talk to. And
Yeah,
so, we spent some time on the phone, and she couldn't go into a lot of details. She wanted to remain kind of private about it. But it was just an opportunity to be with her and to listen. And then I just asked her, I said, would you like me to pray for you? Would you want to spend maybe a few minutes and pray? And there was just a sigh of relief.
yeah,
Yes,
yep,
yeah, if you could do that, that would be great. And, so I think like what you were just saying is just inviting the Lord to be with you in that moment and share, the not only in the anxieties that you're own feeling, but also in be present for theirs.
yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it just looks like listening. And I think you mentioned that you had prayed for her and just said, can I ask God to help you in this situation? And I know for me, I was really struck that one of the ways I could support my friend was just bringing her a meal.
Mm.
In the midst of the chaos of trying to clean out her home, that sometimes connecting looks like showing up in practical ways. Sometimes it looks like listening. Sometimes it looks like offering to pray for others. We hope that you're finding women in your life that you can do that with, and that God will give you ideas of how to invite them to take a next step towards exploring Jesus or deepening her relationship with you. One of the things that we really believe about the story of now is that God can give you the inspiration to know how to invite your friend, that the Holy Spirit can give you ideas in the moment, that you don't have to come in with a preconceived plan or idea of how to help her meet Jesus, that he can show you how to do that. So as she's sharing, as you're connecting with her, just ask her if it's okay to share how Jesus has been present in your struggles. Be sensitive to her and realize, she may not have time for that. She may not be interested, and that's okay. But if you're able to share how your story of Jesus has been real, you're actually connecting your story and the big story of God, the gospel, to a real tangible place where God has been real in your life and where Jesus has been present in the struggle. So this is after you've connected with her, after you've listened, just asking, can I share something with you? And then it's really that moment of you sharing what you reflected on in your own life. And then you're able to kind of share God's story of what it's looked like for Jesus to show up in your life. So obviously you want to be sensitive to your friend. For many of us, this is the scariest part of asking someone, can I share with you? So we want you just to be present to that friend if they're kind of tracking with you and showing nonverbals of nodding and smiling and communicating with you like, yeah, I do want to hear more about this. It's totally appropriate to ask, can I share with you how God's story can become real in your life like it is in mine? And to be able to share that moment of how Jesus has showed up. And then, if it's appropriate, to actually share with her the gospel message of how the big story, the gospel story, has become true in your own life. And we've just simply outlined a Bible verse here that you can share. God's story became true in my life when I realized that God loved me no matter what kind of a mess I was in, that he shows up and could see that the ways I was trying to fix myself just weren't working. The ways I was trying to get out of my struggles or cope with them really weren't bringing healing or change to my life in the way I wanted to. And so the Bible tells us if we just say, Jesus, I see the ways that you are able to bring life from death, and that God actually did that through you when you died on the cross, that you were able to take all of the things in this world and in our lives that were dead and broken and wounded, and make them into something new when God raised you from the dead, that you can do that in my life. And it's simply acknowledging that you believe that to be true and saying, I want that. I want that for my own life. Jesus, would you show me a new way? Would you lead me and guide me, heal me from the inside out, so that I can follow you and experience more of your presence in my life? So very simple, just very brief. And then it's simply just inviting that friend, inviting that woman to say, you know, this isn't just true for me, it can actually be true for you. Would you want what God offers to be part of your story today? And, you know, if she says yes, you can simply walk her through a prayer to say, Jesus, I believe that what you did on the cross is real, that it has meaning for my life. I believe that you can change me from the inside out and heal me of my sin and brokenness. And I invite you to be the leader of my life and to show me how to live and to love God's way. Very simple. And if she's not ready to do that, that is totally fine. You're not a failure. You haven't ruined the relationship. What God is doing is giving you insight to know how to care for her, to know how to wrestle with her through her questions or doubts, and to say, you know, how can I help you to understand a little bit more about what the story of God is? And then she's able to tell you how you can help her and be a good friend in helping her explore Jesus and inviting her to maybe take a next step and say, you know, if you're not ready to begin following Jesus today, would you be interested in grabbing coffee and talking a little bit more about our spiritual backgrounds? Or whatever other idea the Holy Spirit gives you and inspires you to invite her into. So that's about it. Doris and Rachel, do you have anything else you'd like to share about what that could look like for people in their lives, or any encouragement for women who might be a little bit nervous to do this?
Well, thank you, Jessica. You know, as I've just experienced this story of now, and I feel more confident when either I'm on a plane or talking to my family members who are not Christians or friends. I'm just much more aware of those opportunities where their life and my life intersect from a spiritual perspective, and it just really gives you confidence, you know, to take your conversation, like you were saying, to a deeper level. And those conversations can be so meaningful.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, particularly when you think about the friends and family members, you know, that don't know the Lord and, you know, maybe really looking for hope in their own life.
Yep. Great. Yeah. How about you, Rachel?
Yeah, I love this because I feel like this is already taking what I already do, is just talking to people, connecting with people, but helping me be really intentional about guiding that to deeper conversation and really more connection. And so, yeah, I think this is going to be really helpful.
Great. Well, we hope it's been helpful for you as you've listened to this webinar. And again, you can download the PowerPoints at stonecroft.org. I'm just going to close this in prayer, because we know for the women who have listened to this, our deepest longing is for you to be empowered and confident in sharing how God's been working in your life, and to pass on that hope and joy to other women who don't yet know Jesus. So I'm just going to pray. Jesus, thank you that you are our friend and that you're with us no matter what you're going through. I pray for the women listening to this webinar that you would bless them and empower them to see the places you've been at work in their lives, and to be able to share vulnerably and honestly about your presence in their lives. We pray for their friends and their neighbors and their families, that they would be open to hearing about the good things you've been doing in their lives, and that you would just spark their curiosity about who you are, Jesus. Thank you that you love us and you can give us exactly what we need when we need it, and the words to speak when we feel like we don't have any. Amen. Thanks for joining us today.